5 things we learned in the Champions League this week. We're going to talk about Liverpool's fine form, Real Madrid's struggles, and a few other things. But we have to start off with Arsenal. They played into Inter Milan's hands. Inter Milan are one of the best defensive units in European football. We can debate if they got world-class players to go out and win the Champions League going forward. But defensively speaking, that back five and the way that Inzaghi's got them playing, they had a great 0-0 against Man City a few weeks ago in the Champions League as well. Got a great keeper in Jan Sommer and a great back five. And Arsenal played into their hands. Yes, they had far more possession, about 2/3 of possession, and so many opportunities to get great, dangerous balls into the box. And the balls were floated. The crosses were kind of low energy, low intensity. And Arsenal lost 1-0. They got done with a penalty. We could say it's a little bit soft, but it is a European penalty, unfortunately. And Arsenal are in a world of pain. This Arsenal side are so devoid of intensity. It's so side to side, so devoid of ingenuity that when they play these kind of sides in Europe, I think they have to either be way more attacking and get someone like Ethan Nwaneri starting these kind of games. He's a buzzword on this channel because I keep talking about Ethan Nwaneri as if he's the answer. He's 17 years old. I get it. Odegaard obviously came off the bench, not fit enough to start the game. You either go super attacking, and I don't even count Havertz and Trossard and Martinelli as being super attacking because I think they're such fringe players. They're such half players. Trossard's not a world-class forward. Martinelli isn't. And they're all very similar. They don't beat a man. They're all looking for little flicks and little short moments. They're not actually trying to smash people down the line and whip things in with intensity. They're such soft players, in my honest opinion. Now, Saka's different. Obviously, he's got fantastic energy. He's got a rawness about him. He beats a man. Fantastic. But the other three, I mean, Trossard, I just can't. I don't get Trossard. I don't get Havertz. Little floaty kind of footballers that kind of float around, waltz around the pitch. I don't really get it, and I was frustrated watching Arsenal last night because where's the energy? Where's the drive? There was about 30-odd crosses into the box for Arsenal. Only a few kind of made any kind of contact, and Saka lost the ball so many times. So what I'm trying to say at the start of the point is a long point. Arsenal either have to go super attacking, get players bombing down the wings, dare I say a back three with wing backs, match Inter Milan. I'm not saying that's the Arsenal way, but that's one approach. Or you go super, super defensive and cautious and try and get a 0-0. I know it's embarrassing, but at the moment, Arsenal are in this halfway measure where they're a side that keep a little bit of the ball. They're open to counterattacks. They're not very intense going forward. Arsenal aren't willing to win the game 3-2. That's based on their defensive prowess in the last couple of years. And because they haven't got the attacking players and they're still in this kind of mould from last season where they think Saka can nick them a goal, where he's in quite flat form at the moment, it means they're vulnerable to those kind of big set-piece moments. Dumfries should have scored. It could have been 2 or 3-0 to Inter Milan. Let's be completely real. So Arsenal have to adjust. They either become far more attacking, far more forward-thinking, and I think they have to rotate Trossard and Martinelli in and out of the side because I don't think you can play all of them. And then, or you look at it and we're going to be super pragmatic and try and bore our way towards winning the Champions League. But they're in a weird half ground where they're not very good on the ball. They look very flat and side to side, and they get picked off with other sides and their intensity, just like Bournemouth a few weeks ago. It reminds me of Bournemouth, this result, a little bit. Arsenal have to change the way they approach away games, in my opinion. It's not the end of the world. The Champions League gives you a lot of room to develop throughout the season. There's so many fixtures. It's not the end of the world. But ultimately, if Arsenal want to have a serious go, if they finish low on the table, I've been looking at the structure of the Champions League, and it's madness how you might actually have to play obviously more football matches if you finish low on the table. And then the seeding system, it's like Wimbledon. These guys are going to get Roger Federer next round if they're not prime Roger Federer if they're not careful. So it's a big wake-up call for Arsenal. Have to talk about Barcelona. They absolutely smashed Red Star Belgrade, put another 5 past an opposition. They've been scoring so many goals this season. And I think the side that arrives into January, February, March with intensity. I think a few years ago it was all about control and not boring sides, but kind of dominating football matches. I think there's a wave of fresh air happening in European football. You look at the way maybe AC Milan beat Real Madrid, I'll talk about that, the way Liverpool are playing, the way Barcelona are playing. I think there's room now in European football to just have these spells of intensity, score the goals, and not necessarily worry about being perfect. They conceded a couple of goals to Red Star, well taken goals, by the way, but they're outscoring sides, and that's what might take Barcelona to win in La Liga, obviously top of La Liga, and they're very high in the Champions League table as well. Lewandowski I had to double check this because I thought Transfermarkt was broken. 19 goals in 16 appearances and a couple of assists. Lewandowski doesn't have that ceiling in the future like we used to talk about him when he first arrived at Bayern Munich. Of course not. He's in his mid-30s. If he has one season at this level and he carries it on, and I think he's more than capable of firing, he's proven it throughout his entire career, firing Barcelona into the latter stage of the Champions League. They got a goal scorer like none other. I mean, he's getting more goals this season so far than Erling Haaland. If City continue to struggle, I'm not even going to include Arsenal, really, let's be real. If Real Madrid struggle, Barcelona have the European weight that I think is so important when we talk about favourites to win the Champions League. And then they've got players that are in real form. And another player that I'm always interested to look at is Jules Koundé. Obviously now basically a right back. When he arrived from Seville, highly rated centre back. And obviously this is known to Barcelona fans, but it was a real eye-opening moment when I was watching the game of just how much of a right back he's now turned into. He doesn't look like a kind of centre back compensating, bombing forward, whipping balls in. His quality of delivery is unbelievable, and he created so many opportunities and led to a couple of goals in the game. Unbelievable. So this Barcelona side throughout their 11. Rafinha's in unbelievable form. Pedri's pulling strings. I know it's only Red Star Belgrade, with the greatest respect, but Barcelona, do not be surprised if they go on a run and actually try and win the Champions League this season, because there are so many sides that are falling off, so many sides that have been there. I say Man City as well, that are a little bit flat, and Barcelona could really shock some sides this season. Have to talk about Liverpool and the way that they're dominating the Champions League, the way they're top of the table. And now we're a little bit further into the Champions League format. We can kind of predict with a little bit more ease of like where Liverpool are going to finish. They're going to finish, in the top 4 or 5, let's be real, unless something crazy happens. And obviously a few other sides around them. If you actually look at what's going to happen, the permutations, if you finish low in the Champions League, yes, 2/3 of the sides are going to qualify whatever happens. But if you finish low, you have to play extra football matches, which I don't think this Liverpool side would ever want. And that's gone now anyway, because they're not going to finish like rock bottom. The games are over, but actually if you come first, the chance of playing the side that came second, basically you won't meet them till the final. It's just like Wimbledon. So this Liverpool side, if they can keep up the form, stretch their lead, I think there is a massive reward and incentivization for any side that is not only top, but kind of stretches their lead and just keeps themselves in the first position. It's a massive reward that the old format of the Champions League never had. Man City could get 15, 16, 17 points in a Champions League group stage and then meet Real Madrid in the quarterfinals and lose. That's basically what happened last season. Real Madrid, if they came second in the table, might be a little bit hard now, if they were in unbelievable form, if this Barcelona side comes second with unbelievable form, Liverpool would never meet them. So actually Liverpool are doing themselves a massive advantage of starting the season strong in the Champions League, finishing first, and they won't meet the side that are second best in form, like Barcelona, maybe Man City pick up form, Bayern Munich, who knows. They won't meet them till the final. So there are massive, massive rewards. Yes, everyone gets included. It's almost like only a third of the sides get cut, which feels like a little bit redundant. But if you can come first, you've got massive, massive incentivization. I think Liverpool will come first. Their home form is incredible. Even at early stages of the Champions League, the AC Milan result I thought was very, very good. Look how good they've been this season. And let's be completely real. What I said about Barcelona, their intensity, their willingness to just score goals and try and smash sides, maybe they don't have the most control in the world. This Liverpool side are very, very similar. Barcelona and Liverpool, top of their respective leagues, doing well in the Champions League, and they're both playing a very similar brand of football, dare I say. A brand that is very, very intense. Barcelona love playing that first ball over the top, so do Liverpool. And Liverpool absolutely smashed by Leverkusen. So the way they're playing, I think they'll get rewarded massively, Liverpool, by the end of the group stage or the league table, and they'll get a favourable draw, and they'll put them in a massive position to win the Champions League. So that's the thing we learned from this week, I think, as you look at the table really take shape. Liverpool in pole position to do well in the competition. We have to talk about Aston Villa. They're in some really, relatively speaking, poor form. Obviously, they lost to Club Brugge. You have to let me know in the comments what you think about that, because obviously the Tyrone Mings situation with Emi Martinez, I think there's no cause for complaints. The only complaint would be, let's be real, is the Bayern Munich-Arsenal game from last season where Gabriel does something very, very similar. Thomas Tuchel was pulling out the remainder of his hairline in frustration because the penalty wasn't given to Bayern Munich. That would just be the thing. If the Champions League got this all-encompassing kind of sophisticated system of cameras and referees, Surely there has to be consistency. And if you're going to be lenient on Gabriel, which I think maybe there's an argument that you could be, then Tyrone Mings has to be dealt with in a lenient way as well. Or they're both penalties. In a completely neutral perspective of it, clearly, you shouldn't be picking the ball up. I don't even know, even if he's confused if it's a goal kick or they're restarting the kick or the whistle hasn't gone from the referee, even if there is confusion, why pick it up in the box? It makes no sense. Just toe poke it back to the keeper. It was the first loss. It was the first goal conceded for Aston Villa in the Champions League. And you look at some of their form recently, got absolutely banged by Spurs, of course, on the weekend. Lost in the League Cup, which is an opportunity for them to try and win a trophy. Aston Villa, of course. Bournemouth draw. They beat Bologna convincingly. That was a very good performance. And then Fulham was kind of the last time they won in the league as well. They've got Liverpool coming up. It's not the worst thing in the world. Aston Villa are going to qualify through the Champions League. They've done very, very well. The Bayern Munich result, that's about a month ago now. And I feel since then their form has been a little bit flat. It wasn't the worst performance against Club Brugge, but this shows you massively about European competition. If these European refs put you in a bad position, you can just lose a game. And Aston Villa have to be a little bit cuter, a little bit more savvy. I think Tyrone Mings showed that he hasn't played a lot of football recently. And maybe he's not even a Champions League centre-back. Maybe I'm being harsh, but I feel that a bit more experience in the competition, a little bit more nous. You're not picking up the ball in your own box. Really. And finally, Real Madrid, the holders of the competition, 3 losses in the last 7. They only lost 2 games last season. Jude Bellingham's not scored since May. Who were you in May? I was a whole different person. They're in a bad position. Let's be completely real. Mbappe has scored a few goals this season. Not as many as someone like Lewandowski. Not as many as I think Real Madrid fans would expect. He's always getting into these moments, these little angles that he fashions for himself. Does very, very well. His athleticism, his pace is world class. It is. And he kind of shoots down the neck of the keeper. I don't know if that's down to playing French football for the last 8 years, where maybe half of them go in. But against some of these sides, he's not hitting the corners of the net. Some of his chances are getting ballooned over. They're not always the most easy chances in the world. I don't think the chances that Vinicius and Bellingham are laying on the plate for Mbappe are easy. I think a lot of them, when I looked at the Real Madrid game against AC Milan, which is a big win for them, by the way, some of the chances are half chances. A few things are being forced into him quick, and he's still adjusting, I think, to the rhythm of the side, in my honest opinion. But when he's having clear chances, he's not hitting the corners of the net. He's not being ruthless. He's just hitting things down the keeper's throat. And I think he needs to improve massively. I think there's a world you take him out of the side. I really do. I know it's criminal saying that, but Jude Bellingham's the big one because he's still created chances. He's working a lot harder than Mbappe. He must have covered 14k kilometers against AC Milan, and AC Milan just ran through this Real Madrid side. Real Madrid have lost the security of their defensive record because I think they're not keeping the ball as well. The protection in front is a little bit languid, and dare I say it, because they're not outscoring sides, because Mbappe's missing so many chances, the opposition have opportunities to go and score against you. Real Madrid are not in champagne form, but things could definitely change. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. The Champions League, it's still early, but Liverpool looking in very, very good form. AC Milan, Barcelona, some of the classic sides, and certainly Man City, Arsenal, Real Madrid have to pick up form. If you made it this far, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you very, very soon.